Hey everybody, the time has finally come. I'm ready to make my big announcement, and actually this is so big that I decided to do it via Facebook Live because it's that important to me. So I just want to say, first of all, I really appreciate everybody's patience with the 5-day countdown. It turns out, or lack of patience for some people, it turns out that posting a 5-day countdown for a big announcement on Facebook makes people lose their mind. So I really appreciate either your lack of patience or you giving me the opportunity to help teach you patience. So as I shared last night on the countdown post, the announcement, the project that I'm going to be working on that I'm about to announce is, it has to do with math. And so I just want to lay a little groundwork, a little background to give some context for where the ideas of this project came from. So I don't think I'll be telling anybody anything they don't know whenever I say that the state of math education is somewhat catastrophic, right? Math education is in pretty bad shape. Math has a pretty bad name. In fact, if there was a Family Feud question along the lines of, we surveyed 100 people and asked them to tell us their least favorite subject in school, probably the #1 answer would be math. That's a pretty safe bet. And actually most of us know, kind of intuitively or anecdotally, we hear about American students not keeping up with students from other countries, and we hear about students who hate math, and we hear some of the numbers. So I actually want to start by giving you some of the numbers about math. So we know that when students hit 4th grade, in 4th grade, 3 out of 5 students are not proficient in math at grade level. So they're already behind in 4th grade. Fast forward 4 years and you look at students in 8th grade, and that number jumps to 2 out of 3. So in 8th grade, 2 out of 3 math students are not proficient at grade level. You go to the end of high school in 12th grade, and that number is up to 3 out of 4. So by the end of high school, 3 out of 4 students are not proficient in math. And then that carries on into the higher ed setting in community college, for example. If you look at community college students, 6 out of 10 incoming community college students get placed into developmental, remedial, non-college credit math courses. That means they have to take up to 2 years of non-credit math courses and be successful before even being eligible to take a math class that would count towards their degree. And so of those students, only 1 out of 4 even finish their community college program within 8 years of starting. And what's more interesting for this post is that I just gave you all 5 fractions in a row, which means most of you are no longer even listening. Am I right? That's what I thought. Okay, but here's the story behind those fractions. By the time we get to 4th grade, more than half of students are already not proficient in math, and that gets worse as time goes on. And what happens is, over time, these students are essentially falling off the mathematical map. They become more and more disenfranchised with math, less and less successful at math as time goes on, and that breeds an internal hatred towards math. I don't think it'll surprise anybody to say that people hate math. It's a deep, visceral hatred, right? It's really dawned on me over the last year or year and a half that this lack of success in math is deeper than a lack of skills or a lack of ability for students. I just refuse to believe that students, more than half of students that come through any education system, don't have the innate ability to do math. I don't think that's true. I think there's something else going on. And what I've noticed is that when the subject of math comes up, there's actually a deep emotional response that people have whenever you bring up math. That could take on a lot of different contexts or a lot of different ways that plays out. One would be just avoidance. People say, I'm not doing math, I'm no good at it. Another would be ambivalence. I'm not going to do math, I'm never going to use it anyway, there's no point in it, I don't need to do it. For others, it's a fear. For others, it's an almost paralyzing anxiety. And for other people, it's just downright anger and hatred, right? I hate math. Whenever people get out of school, you often hear, I'm so glad I never have to take another math course again. I'm never going to do math again. I hate it, right? It's this deep hatred. When it comes right down to it, it's almost like a post-traumatic stress response to the subject of math. In fact, it's almost like students have gone through this long-term abusive relationship with math, right? Like their math education has been an abusive relationship, and now their response has those emotional overtones of an abusive relationship. So that's the context for what I'm about to announce. Here's the deal. I'm going on a mission to save the good name of mathematics. And I know that sounds corny and that sounds cheesy, but I really feel that deep inside me, that level of conviction that it's just a mission of mine to save the good name of math. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take those stories of students who would say that they've had a traumatic experience with math, and we are literally going to write the book about why people hate math. That's right, we are going to write the book, Why I Hate Math. And it's going to feature those stories. It's going to feature telling those stories about why kindergartners would say that math is their favorite subjects and fourth graders cry over their homework. Right? Why some fourth graders are okay at homework, but why some eighth graders will just avoid it entirely. Why some people are able to go on to successful careers that are in mathematical type subjects, but other people end up in college and get in the black hole of community college remedial math courses and will never escape out of that hole. I want to share those stories with the world. And here's why that's important. There are actually hundreds of millions of dollars being funneled into research about math education and why the state of math education is what it is. And what you find in that research is that it's often very instruction-centered. And what I mean by that is the research questions fall along the lines of things like, what's the best way to teach fractions? Or what's the most effective way to teach algebra? Or researchers will compare instructional methods, or they'll ask questions like, should we be teaching for, Natalia Guzman just called me a nerd, thank you. Should we be teaching for procedural fluency or conceptual understanding? In other words, should we be teaching students algorithms that they can process, or should we be teaching them concepts that they can understand to develop their own solutions? But you can see that all of those questions are very instruction-centered. They're focused on what exactly should the teacher be doing in the classroom to help promote success in the students. And what I'm suggesting with this book on Why I Hate Math is that we flip the script on those research questions and we move from instruction-centered questions to student-centered questions, and more importantly, student-centered stories. What's happening in your experience with math? What is going on? Was there a time in your life when you liked math? Do you remember when you started hating it? What is it about math that causes that anxiety to stir up? What goes on in your head whenever a math assignment is put in front of you, or a math test is in front of you and your mind goes blank? Those are the stories that I want to capture. That's much of the content that's going to be in the book. There will be other stuff also, but it's really going to be built on stories from students and what students have experienced in their math education. So, I mentioned yesterday that if you've ever had trouble with math, I'm going to need your help. Here's what it comes down to. Here's where I need your help. I need to start collecting these stories. So if you will go to, here's this website, it's fantastic, WhyIHateMath.com, WhyIHateMath.com, for real. There's a real simple jot form survey there, and it's just a few questions. I'll ask for your name and email if you want to provide that, and then there's a few questions like, about your math education. They're open-ended. You can share as little information or as much information as you want, and you could even click if you would be up for me contacting you for a more in-depth interview after you take the survey. So again, that's how you can help me out right now. If you don't like math, if it's not your thing, if you're not a big fan of it, if you've had any of those emotional responses that I described earlier, WhyIHateMath.com, fill out the quick survey. You can also share this post and share the link to the survey so that I can begin accumulating these stories as part of my research for the book. So hey, that's it. I hope the big announcement was worth the wait, and if it wasn't, well, frankly, I don't care because it's important to me. So thanks a lot, guys, and thanks a lot for all of your help. See ya.